Hello everyone, this is Katie from Nekozuki Yarns. This is January 4th and episode 2 actually of the podcast. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Etsy, and Pinterest actually, all as Nekozuki Yarns. The biggest reason that I'm podcasting today is because I have a lot of stash enhancement and enabling, as well as a few actual projects that I finished. Now, I did finish about 4 in the last month, but I don't have a lot of them with me, simply because they were Christmas gifts, so I ended up giving them away. Hopefully I'll remember to put some pictures at the end though, so that you aren't left completely in the dark, and I can actually show you most of them in my PDF expert on my iPad, which is right back here, so I'll prep that because I forgot. Alright, so let's actually start with whips or works in progress. I have 2 right now. One is a little bit more involved than the other, that's for sure. The first one is the Hathaway sweater by Carol Feller. It's a Brooklyn tweed pattern, and that's what I'm using. I have Brooklyn tweed shelter in the Almanac colorway, and I am knitting it on my Chiagus, which I love. I love this whole system here for them. And they're US 7s, 4.5 millimeters. Really nice. The yarn is a bit splitty, and the one thing that's really bothering me is it feels like it's slightly felted. Makes it feel kind of cardboardy, but I think it softened up in the wash a little bit more than I anticipated, so whatever. It's got really nice stitch definition, even on my crummy camera. You can obviously see the cables, which is fantastic. Like, yeah. This is taking me a lot longer than I anticipated because of the 2x2 ribbing. I know it's going to be super comfy once it's actually finished. Excuse me. But it's sucking up a lot of time. I'm about 6.5 inches out of 15.5 for the body. I started this just before Christmas. And I didn't work on it as much over Christmas as I wanted to, simply because I actually finished off my socks. So I'll show you those in FOs instead. But anyway, I was really hoping to have this done by mid-January, but I don't think it's going to happen. But it's not like it's going to grow legs and walk off. I can always finish it later, right? So that's one work in progress. And now this is just covering my knitting works in progress. I've actually got a couple of sewing works in progress, one of which I will show you later. But I'm also working on a dishcloth. Yeah, very simple. I taught my friend to knit the other day, and I said we should do dishcloths because they're easy. And doesn't matter if you get holes or wonky like tension or wibbly wobbly edges. You're more likely to use a dishcloth than a scarf, and you don't get that second half of the scarf where you're just like, I want to do something else. I've got all the basic stitches and I'm good. It's a much smaller project. So anyway, I'm doing kind of modified version of Grandma's favorite dishcloth. 1 stitch, yarn over, knit across, and then 1 stitch, yarn over on the other row coming back. I find that keeps it the most even. And it'll also work the best when I have to go through and do the decreases again, because it is knit on the bias, so that's actually the corner, obviously, like that. And then, yeah, I'm probably a third of the way into this, and then I'll go back down. Well, a quarter. I don't know. I'll decide as I get there. Really, it doesn't matter, as long as I don't run out of yarn. So, and that is from Burnout Handicrafter. Very simple, just, yeah, yarn from Walmart. What is it? It's the Black Currant colorway, and I'm knitting them on 4 millimeters, which is US 6. These are actually from my grandma's knitting needle stash that I inherited. So, and they're arrows. Maybe will you focus? Anyway, they're arrow needles. I don't know how long they've been around. They're what I inherited from my grandma besides her projects, so I use them occasionally. Although I do now remember why I prefer working with circular needles, mostly because A, the needle's nearly as long as my forearm, and I dropped one on the bus the other day, and they make a nasty clatter, especially when you're not expecting them. I scared a few people, actually, so, but whatever, they can deal, I can deal, as long as I'm not dropping them in class like I did once. We're all good. Alright, so those are works in progress, and now that I'm to the end of my row, I'm going to leave it like that. Alright, and now I have finished objects. I did actually finish a couple things for me, which was fantastic. The most recent one, and I'm sorry I did not weave in any ends, but the first one I finished was one dishcloth. This is the one I started when my friend was learning to knit. Again, Bernat Handicrafter, 4mm needles, US 6s, and it's just reverse stockinette with a slip stitch. I love the slip stitch because it did break up the monotony, and it gives a nice scrubby back with still the like detail on the front, so that you can, yeah, breaks up the monotony. This is actually really squishy. I don't know why I haven't knit dishcloths before, although yeah, they make perfect carry along knitting right now because I haven't started any more socks, and besides dropping the needles, they're, yeah, perfectly fine. Alright, and one of the ones that I'm most proud of is I finished my socks. Now that is totally wrong color representation. There we go, that's actually closer. I'm playing around with my settings a little bit just so that we get a little bit truer color representation. We'll see if it works or not, but yeah, that's a little bit better than what it was last week, or last episode, I guess. Anyway, both of them, they are both knit toe up. There's a little bit of a ladder here because, for some reason, just on this sock, because of my magic looping, but that's going to be hidden under my leg. I'm not too worried. I did a slip stitch gusset heel from Wendy Johnson's toe up slip stitch gusset heel. They fit pretty good. I think I could have used a little bit more length in the foot just to make up for the gusset, so I have to play around with everything a little bit more. It could just be that I need more stitches across the back of the heel. It's something like that, but yeah, it all worked out. I have another pair of socks, and yeah, they smell like eucalyptus, and I love the smell. I washed up a couple pairs the other day, and it was fantastic. It smelled amazing in my washroom. Alright, so those are the two FOs. Now, the Christmas presents. Because I don't know if I'll get photos at the end, I will actually show them to you on my iPad here. And these obviously aren't my projects, but they are the patterns I used. So, the first one that I did, well, the second one that I finished was the Courtyard hat by Melissa Thompson. I love this hat. I'm actually going to be, I'll show it to you here so it doesn't reflect the window. I'm actually going to be knitting one for myself, but I made this for Dallas, my husband, and so the green part there would be the gray. Actually, I replaced it with Cascade 220, and then the green, or the gray in the middle is actually red. I tried switching it so that the red was the overtop color, but it looks terrible, very garish. But yeah, that's the Courtyard by Melissa Thompson of Sweet Fiber. And yeah, it fits him. He says it's a little bit tight over the ears, but nothing, I don't think that'll stretch out with wear, because that's what happens with knit objects. That's why most of the time you have to, like, block them and do them afterwards. Anyway, the other one that I knit for him was Greta the Captivating Cat. She looked very similar to this color here. I knit her out of, she's knit out of hand spun, very light fingering hand spun. On these were the smallest needles I used all year. I think they're US zeros, just so that it was tight enough so that I could actually stuff her without the stuffing showing through as much. And the hat was knitted out of Cascade 220 on US 6 and 7s, the prescribed needles in the pattern. And then the next one that I finished Welcome to the Flock. Super cute baby cardigan. This is by Julia Farwell Clay. And, Greta the Captivating Cat is by Rebecca Danger, and her pattern was so well written. I will definitely be knitting another. I've actually got enough of that yarn that I used for Dallas's that I can knit another one for me. Then we can have matching Greta's. They're very itty bitty, like she's not much bigger than my hand, but so cute. So, yeah, that was in her stocking this year along with the toque. Anyway, welcome to the flock. This was for a friend's baby. She's 8 months old now, which is ridiculous. And I knit it. The red was Cascade 220 Superwash. The black was Cascade 220 Superwash. And then the white was a diamond yarn. I don't remember. I just remember it's a Superwash Sport. And I'm sorry, I replaced the green with red because that's her husband's favorite color. And originally when I planned to knit this was when we didn't know the gender of the baby before she was born, and so I wanted to keep everything gender neutral. Red works for boys or girls, but that's why that choice. Although the green would have worked, but the greens that I saw when I was actually like purchasing the yarns didn't look very nice, so that's why I decided on red. And then finally, this one nearly killed my hands. Like, I think it's probably still sore from this project, but it turned out well, and my niece really liked it. So I made the Katniss Hunting Cow with Vest. Now, the back on this isn't quite as smooth on my version. I did know that, but it did block out beautifully. I love, love, love this herringbone. The herringbone pattern will probably be showing up in some of my designs later in this year because I loved it that much. Did not love this project, but I love the yarn, or the texture of it. I'm sorry. Okay. Back on schedule. So the biggest thing about that one was the size of the needles. Like, I had size 35, 20 millimeter needle. And it was Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick, and it was held double through the whole project. And it just, the stubbiness of the needles and the non-elasticity of the yarn, because wool bounces more than acrylic. Well, wool has elasticity, acrylic doesn't, because acrylic's basically plastic, right? Yeah, it all combined to just kill my hands. I loved the end project, but I don't think I've ever disliked the process as much. But I got payoff because my niece definitely loved it. We got our Comic-Con ticket for the Calgary Expo here, so she can go with me, and she's already told me that she's going to be cosplaying as Katniss. So what are you gonna do? It's pretty cute. I'm excited about that. I told her I'm probably gonna try and go as Blue Dressed Belle, because I've been wanting to do her dress for a while, and so I ordered her swatches of fabric the other day for the dress, and I just need to find a pattern that I can modify so that I know how much I need to order. Okay, so I finished all of those, and I finished them all on time, actually. The one I was most worried about was that vest, but it ended up that it actually dried in time. Kind of. It was still a bit cool damp when I packed it, but it only needed to be wrapped for a couple days, so we're all good. And now I'm actually working on a quilt. I've been wanting to do this one for a while. It's one of the ones from Jelly Roll Inspirations by Pam and Nikki Lintott. And what it is it's Knickerbocker Glory. I do also want to do the peace medallion in there, but I decided not to go with that one with these fabric combinations just because they were so similar and really bright. Like, it would have been really hard to balance. So I'm doing 4x4 squares, and that is very bright. There we go, that's a little bit closer. So I've got one set done. There are 19 sets of 8 squares, so there's one set. Yeah, that's better there. I have 4 more sets cut right now, and then I need to chain piece them, and I think I'm going to go through and do on the rest of them, so the 18, So 15 more, so that I can just chain piece all of them all together, and then I'll go through and I actually need to go get a border fabric, so I might do that after I'm done recording today and get everything kind of set up while they're being finished off. But yeah, and that is being made out of Moda's Best Day Ever, which I'm, okay, so I actually have fabric for this from last year. I went and got a very nice Japanese fabric, which I'll probably actually be using for the piece medallion because the colors are similar but dissimilar enough. And honestly, I've never worked with a jelly roll. I was curious, and I was like, well, screw it. I may as well go out and get it, because A, it's cold, and B, I was agitated, and I needed to be out of the house, and I figured a quilt would be a good way to spend a couple more days inside afterwards. So I really didn't know what, like, I didn't want to wreck the Japanese fabric, so that's what part of the reason as well. I could have used it, but A, I didn't really feel like cutting out all the strips, and B, I didn't want to wreck something that I was more invested in. So this is just kind of fly by the moment I picked it up and whatever. The Japanese fabrics are still from Canada. They're still from a local quilt shop, but yeah, I'm more attached to Japanese fabrics. Given my name, that should make sense. Anyway, so it's Best Day Ever. I decided on this because it's nice and bright, and it's going to make a gorgeous quilt, and because it's a Rapunzel reference. Best day ever! And the song that I used for my processional for the wedding was actually a Tangled song. At Last I See the Light. We found a really nice instrumental on YouTube, and we played that because there wasn't anything else really to suit us, and we both really like Tangled. My favorite's still Belle. Beauty and the Beast is still my ultimate Disney favorite, but Tangled is very close to the same, and Dallas really likes Flynn, so it all worked out, and so that's why we ended up with Best Day Ever for the quilt. Anyway, it's Jelly Roll 24010JR, made in Japan, 2.5-inch strips, and I'm having fun with it. Sewing is a lot more zen for me when I'm not actually doing it for work, like bags. Although bags actually are very zen as well. Yeah, and yesterday I just wasn't into the knitting, because everything right now is either really, really simplistic, so like this garter stitch dishcloth, which is nice, but I like doing it on transit too, so I don't want to go through it too fast. And the ribbing on that sweater, well, I'm right into a cable row, and there's 6, 7, 8 cables each, like back and front, so there's 16 cables all the way around. And I know that's not much, but the fact that it only happens so often, it's a lot to keep track of. So I have my handy dandy catch-a-catch, and I'm keeping track and everything, but it's not something that is exactly zen and takes me out of like repetitive thoughts. So sewing does, and I've wanted to quilt for a while, so I figured what the heck, I may as well try it. Anyway, so I've got one set of blocks done. I've got a whole another 4 to 5 cut here. Actually, I think there's only 3 here, so that means that I still have 15 to cut. So that'll be my goal for today, I think, is to finish cutting and then chain piecing those. Let's see, what else am I doing? I am actually reading The Book of Life by Deborah Harkness. I had read the first 2 in the series. Oh, they're on the front. A Discovery of Witches and Shadow of Night earlier in the year. I debated if I was going to pick this up in hardcover or wait for it in trade paperback, but Chapters actually had a sale on 30% off all hardcovers after Christmas. I was there on Boxing Day, I think. So I picked it up, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I'm excited to finish it, actually. Compared to a lot of what else I've read this year, it's really good. Or I guess last year now, actually. And, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know yet. We'll see. Let's see. We finished Sailor Stars, and now I understand why they did not translate it into English, dubbed or subbed originally. It didn't feel like Sailor Moon to me, and I'm really hoping that they redo it in Sailor Moon Crystal, because the thing is that I really like the manga arc, and I really, really like how she ended it, because Naoko Takeuchi actually finished this manga, and it's very rare that you get that in manga. Like, I think the most famous example would probably be Clamp. Like, lots of anime and manga finished. Life goes on, and granted, Sailor Stars kind of finished, but nothing definite. And yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed the other parts of this series in Japanese, but I'm really hoping they redo it in Crystal, because they're doing such a good job in Crystal of sticking to the storyline, but filling in the gaps. And so that's the other anime I'm watching right now. Okay, so stash enhancement. I actually got really spoilt with yarn over Christmas. And yarny goodness like accessories. And I just realized that I forgot one part of this, so I'll show it to you next time I record. So I very nicely asked Santa this year for sock yarn in my stocking. I should actually show you my stocking, because my stocking's fantastic. My husband's aunt made me this stocking, and she heard that I liked cats, so I get cat yarn. So cute. And I know there's a bunch of significance to all the fabrics, but I don't honestly remember. I actually have to ask again. But I love it. It's so cute. And it's got cats on the inside. And my maiden name initials on the heel, because this was before we were married. I am now KWP. But, as she told my niece when she asked about it, it's bad luck to put married initials on it, and if I hadn't changed my name, then it would still be KWH anyway, right? So yeah, I am KWP now, but, yeah. So much judgment when you start changing your name after you're married. Like, A, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of little things that you don't think of. And B, then you get judged whether you change it, whether you don't change it, or how you change it. I went in and changed it at the library the other day, and she's like, "Oh, you're not hyphenating?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just changing it." And she's like, "Well, lots of people my age did." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I didn't." Anyway, KWP. Keeps things easy. On to what I got in my stocking, because yeah, I nicely asked Santa, I'm like, "Can I have sock yarn in my stocking?" And so he brought me sock yarn. I actually got 3 skeins. Actually, I've got 2 skeins, and then I think this is going to be a shawl. So these are definitely sock yarns. This one's really cool, because it's really out of what I would normally use for, or purchase for myself. Now, this is Super Sock 4 Fuck Neon Color 2. It's 420 meters, which I think is probably about 450 yards. 100 grams, and the color is 01731. Yeah, lot 368. Made in the EU. It's got 75% wool, 25% polyamide, which is basically nylon. Super cool. I can't wait to knit with this one. It's gonna look really neat. It is very neon-y, like highlighter green and highlighter blue neon. And then this one is the same, all the same, except it's 01728. Also, this one isn't quite as, like, orange. It's got, like, pinks, blues, greens. Yeah, it's really nice though, too. It's really bright. Excited for that one. This one is the Cascade Yarns hand-painted heritage paints. And yeah, I really, really like the colors in this one. A little bit more vibrant than it's showing there, but it is also 437 yards, 400 meters. Yeah, so these other sock yarns are 437 probably. Very close. 75% merino wool, 25% nylon. And I don't think this is becoming socks. I don't know what it is yet, but it's telling me it's not socks. I have a feeling it'll probably be like a neck thing, small shawlette maybe, or maybe a sock head hat, although I'm dreading that much ribbing. Something like that, but it's gorgeous. Like, it's got these awesome colors of green, purple, pinks. Yeah, Santa did very well this year for me. And then actually he brought me something else. He brought me this one, which is this gorgeous, it's showing a blue on there, but it's very much more, it's green. It's very green, jade almost, like a blue jade. They call it Sherwood, which, yeah, it's like a foresty blue. Sea Turtle Designs, yarn and fiber. Apparently she has an Etsy. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards. So I think this will become socks. I've got a very similar color that I got in Victoria on my honeymoon. Etsy, come on. Sea Turtle Designs. It looks like if you search that on Etsy or Google, you should be able to get it. Although my camera should be able to focus on that. It's been doing so well earlier. Anyway, etsy.com/shop/CSEA Turtle Design. And it's cut for the cute little, like, sea turtles up in the corner there. Haha! There we go. There. That's our address. So yeah, I think this will actually become socks. It came in a cute little mug. All you need is tea and warm socks. So it came with some tea, and it came with the candy cane and such. Really cute. So that was all from Santa. And then I actually, when I was out doing cotton purchases, I got a other skein here. So I got the blue, the purple, and then this, because they all kind of go together nicely. It's also what I purchased my friends, so I'll have matchy-matchy cloths. And then I got this one, because this one is going to go nicely in my new house. Very, I like the red. I like the marled look. I always do in yarn. I find that almost more interesting than variegates sometimes. And finally, this actually I just got yesterday. It's 100%. Yes, 100% long fiber hemp. It is a bit crunchy, but that's what I expect from hemp. But look at this color. I've been wanting a pink top for ages. And I usually knit one, like a short sleeve top. Oh, there. That actually looks the right color. I usually knit short sleeve tops for Florida. And this year we're going, yeah, we booked September, late September, early October. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I get my design in this, because I have a design in mind for my next tee, because I designed my tee last year for Florida, and it was super comfy. But anyway, I'm going to design my tee so that I can release it in time for summer in Canada, because releasing a tee pattern in Canada in October is a little bit difficult. Although if you do watch Melinda, the Yarnder Woman podcast, I did donate a copy there, so works out for some people, right? Southern Hemisphere. However, Northern Hemisphere, yeah, we need them in May or earlier. This one will be on the needles fairly soon because I love the color. And I know I just complained about bounciness, but for some reason hemp and like cotton in this style doesn't bother me as much as that Katniss cowl did. Okay. I am actually currently working on new designs. New designs will be available to test by month's end. I will post in the group, which is on Ravelry. I do have a group now. And then I will be posting where to find it on Rav. It's a very simple one. It's actually from yarn from a local dyer, and yeah, we'll see how that goes actually. And then there will be a shop update next week, so the 10th or 11th. I will record before I update so that you get a chance to take a peek. A lot of this will not really be new fabrics yet. This is mostly stuff I'm wrapping up from last year that I just, like, I produced a lot of stuff with zippers, but I didn't finish any of the other sewing before my show in November, so this is kind of tidying all of that up before I hop into all the amazing new fabrics I got, like origami cranes, and what else did I find yesterday? Knitted stitches. Super excited for that one, and I think you guys will be too. Normally my shop goals will be at the end, but I forgot to put my goals in. So, it's 2015. Happy New Year, everyone. 2014 had its very high points and some very low points for me. And as with a lot of people, I am very glad to have a new year. I'm hoping that it gives me a little bit more inspiration. Well, I'm already started sewing a quilt, which I've never done before, so apparently it has. And that brings me to my 2015 goals. I've posted these on Rav, and I would love if you would come over and contribute your goals, or tell me if you don't make any goals, because either way, it's really cool to know what other people kind of do to mark the new year, if you mark the new year, when you do, actually, because there's Chinese New Year coming up as well. So, my 2015 goals, I do make a vague list of goals just because then I can measure my progress. I used to be a lot more goal-oriented, and I know this is weird coming from me at this age, but I'm not. I'm much more of a product person than a process person. At least that's what I'm starting to find. It's half and half. So my 2015 goals are, I want 6 sweaters. Now, I do already have this Hathaway, which is one of the ones that I have yarn for. I also want to make the pixelated pullover, Pon Noof, and Owls by Kate Davies, which I have all the yarn for those so far. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 planned already. 5. And then I think I want to do the Hirafude, or another, like, fingering weight. I've also got the Rapunzel sweater in my queue by Anne Podolsk, and I think that one would be really fun to make. I just have to figure out my yarn for that one because I can't remember. I don't think my gauge was completely on, and I couldn't remember which way I needed to go. But yeah, that's what I'll be working on. I want 12 pairs of socks, hopefully, and I haven't started that yet, but 1 per month should be doable. I want to learn color work a little bit better, stranded specifically, and I would love to try steeking. As a shiver runs down my spine there. I want to get at least 6 designs out. So I've already got 1. The tea will be a second, and then there'll be more to follow. I've got lots of plans, just no time. I want to learn and use continental style knitting, so hold my yarn in my left hand instead of my right hand, which I should be practicing on these dishcloths, because honestly, again, if gauge is different, it doesn't really matter. I'm hoping to podcast every 2 weeks. This time was an exception because of Christmas. I could not get the, oomph to go this time to podcast every 2 weeks. I want to win Stash Dash 2015, which means that I want to knit 5 kilometers of yarn with the Knit Girls and finish 5 kilometers of yarn. I know a lot of people kind of stall projects so that they can finish them during this time period, because the project can be started at any point, just needs to be finished in the American summer. And then the big one too is I want 150 to 200 items in my Etsy, and I'm hoping to have that done by October. Considering that I'm going on vacation in October, it would be really nice to have it done before then, and then I can focus on Christmas knitting and show stock actually for October, early November. And I'm currently around 90 items, so that isn't unreasonable. I can do that. Especially with all the new fabrics I've got, which I'm super excited to show everybody. And I just realized I forgot something else for stash enhancement, so I will have a couple things to show you in a week or two. I guess this podcasting every 2 weeks. I will be podcasting next week to show you items that I'll be putting in the shop. And yeah, right now it's just a little bit of selfish knitting, so that I keep my sanity. And then we'll go back into the normally scheduled everyday stuff. And I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season, whatever you celebrated. Even if you didn't celebrate, I hope you enjoyed your days off if you got them. And a happy new year to everyone. And yeah, I'll hopefully talk to you next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.